Hello everyone. Today we're going to take a look at writing an awesome CAPE essay. Everybody wants an essay that's going to go in there and really impress the people who are reading. So I'm going to talk to you about what you can do to make sure that you're hitting all the critical points. First up, you want to have that awesome essay happening. That means that you're writing to impress. Your organizational strategies have to be on point, and your grammar has to be excellent, and you're going to have to use uh, critical punctuation to make your points. This is a 500-word essay, so you don't have a lot of words to get your point across, so you have to make every word that you use count. The structure of your essay is that your first paragraph is going to open with an introduction, a brief introduction, and I'm going to take you through what you're going to include in that introduction. Paragraph 2 is going to discuss the organizational strategies, because usually that's what you're going to be asked about. Paragraph 3 might be to discuss language techniques, and then paragraph 4, which will probably be shorter than the other two, will talk a bit about either validity, reliability, or if not one or the other, you might be asked about credibility, which is the result of validity plus reliability. Then you will close with a short conclusion that does not introduce any new concepts. This is just a quick review of what you have said already in the paper. So now we're going to take a deeper look at what the PEE system really is. And you're going to have to remember this, because this acronym PEE is what's going to guide you through the successful completion of this essay. P stands for point, E stands for example, and the second E is for explanation. So you're going to give each of these three for the points that you're making. And this format can be modified to satisfy the requirements of all three papers in paper 2. So although I'm speaking specifically right now to organizational strategies and language techniques, you can use this structure of point, example, and explanation for all the essays, because it is critical for you to prove to me or to the reader of your essay that your point is truly in the paper that you're reviewing, and that the point you have interpreted is correct or accurate in the context in which you have used it. So this is the reason that you must use an example, and that the explanation gives your opinion of how this example enhanced the paper. So Module 1 Essay Introduction is going to basically respond to the main point, declare the purpose, the writer's purpose, not your purpose, declare the author's purpose, and then state the language techniques and organizational strategies that the author used to help to achieve that purpose. What does the PE format look like? So after you've written the introduction, the first P is that you're going to start writing your paragraphs, and in each paragraph you're going to have to make sure that you make the point. P stands for make the point, which means that you're going to identify the organizational strategy or the language technique which you plan to discuss. For example, if a language technique an organizational strategy that was used in the paper that you're reviewing was problem and solution, you would make the point that you're going to now talk about problem and solution, and you're not going to say, I'm now going to talk about problem solution. You would have introduced three organizational strategies that the author used were this, that. And then you are just going to be able to transition from your three organizational strategies into saying problem and solution, and then you will be able to continue from there. And I'm going to go through how you continue. Continuing in the main body of the essay, we're now going to take a look at the first E. For the first E, this stands for you giving a supporting example. That means that you're going to go back into the excerpt that you're reviewing. This is not an arbitrary example. This is from the excerpt that you have been given in the exam. Go back into this excerpt and select an example that is appropriate to the point that you made. Don't just write the line number. That's not going to be good enough. You can't tell me that the example for problem and solution is in line number 12. That's not going to be good enough. You must write out all of the words from the example. So for example, if you're talking about where the problem was, you could say in paragraph 1, the author stated that the problem was that 78% of crimes are committed by young men between the ages of 17 to 25, and the solution was presented when the author suggested that schools should engage in anger management counseling for young men. You are going to use your quotation marks for the parts that are directly quoting from the excerpt. So if you are citing what the author has said, ensure that you use your quotation marks, and then you will have presented your example correctly. Now we take a look at the second E in the PEE format, which is to give an explanation. And when you're about to give the explanation, this is now your time to shine in this essay. This is where you share your opinion on what the writer is saying. You have already made the point, you've given the example, and now we want you to tell us what you think about what the author has said. How do you think the writer has used this to achieve his purpose? Was it used effectively in the excerpt in order to achieve the writer's intended purpose? So an example here is that you could say the strategy was used effectively because it encourages the reader to think about the issue he described and encourages us to take an action to fix it. No, this could be a little bit generic, right? Because if you're writing an essay and you've given an example on crime, you might want to say something more specific to the problem and solution that he's described. So you might want to say something like, the strategy was used effectively because it encourages the reader to think about the severe crime issue that we have, and it encourages us to take an action to fix crime at a youth level in the country, right? So make it your own. Make sure that you are injecting your opinions and you are demonstrating who you are as an individual with your own value systems and applying that to your responses. Note carefully the following. For each point that you are going to make, you have to use the PEE. So if it's 3 language strategies, 3 language techniques, you are going to be talking about the PEE for each of those 3 language techniques. And if there are 3 organizational strategies, there are going to be 3 sets of PEE, 1 for each organizational strategy that you have identified, which means that you're going to use the PEE system at least 6 times in your essay. And it could become 7, because if you're asked to explain credibility, validity, reliability, any part of the CRAP test, then you're going to use the PEE for that as well. That brings us to the end of today's presentation. Happy writing!